and I wanted to get your overall thoughts on it. You probably saw the redraft. So he had a redraft, and I'm just going to read it real quick because I have a really bad habit of putting graphics on the screen and not actually reading the graphic to the audio listeners and they're like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Uh, so he did a redraft. He had Stephon Castle 1, Zachary Richardson 2, Jared McCain 3, Reed Shepard 4, Donovan Clingan 5, Matas Bazella 6, Ron Holland 7, Zach Edey 8, Jalen Wells 9, and Khalil Ware 10. What do you kind of think of seeing Ron Holland at 7? I was kind of surprised by this.
I am kind of surprised at that, man. Jared McCain, I can understand. Reed Shepard, definitely kind of understand. Honestly think Ron Holland sticking in this top 10 when I thought that there was a lot of people who didn't quite believe in him, didn't quite put him on the same era as some of the other, all rookie guys. I actually believe, even though I would have loved to see him stick at his draft slot, I actually think this is a little bit kinder to him than I would have thought it would have been, to be honest with
you. Yeah, I mean, if you guys just kind of, because like this graphic is actually kind of misleading because you would think that Zach Edey and Jalen Wells, the teams that were 8-9 respectively, the Grizzlies didn't have back-to-back picks in this draft, but the way the Athletic did it's kind of confusing. But kind of looking at Ron, I still think he probably goes top 5 in a redraft. And the reason why I say that is you look at a lot of the players that were drafted in the top 10.
Yeah.
Ron Holland.
For the record, I would put him ahead of Modest Bazelis, but that's just me. And maybe Donovan Clingan. I guess.
I'll tell you this. I would put him ahead of Reed Shepard. Reed Shepard to me is up. I watched Donis Jenkins just lock this guy up. He did not want to be on the court. I don't understand the fascination with Reed Shepard. I think he's very overrated personally. I don't even think he wouldn't even probably be in a top 10 if I did a redraft right now.
I don't think that Ron Holland played that game. I was down there. Ron Holland didn't even play that game. And I remember that Dennis Jenkins went off. And who else went off? Was it Bobby Clintman?
I think Bobby went off against the Miami Heat. I think
that might have been the Dennis game then. And Marcus Sasser, for some reason, I don't remember.
Yeah, so they played the Rockets really early in the summer league, but
yeah,
I'm surprised Ron actually slips in a redraft. The Stephon Castle thing, like I get it, I can understand it. I was more surprised that Alex Sarr actually kind of dropped out of this whole redraft. Like you don't even have him as a top 10 pick. And he was a number 2 pick to the Washington Wizards. I get the Wizards are terrible. I get Alex Sarr looked really lost out there, but I'd probably look lost out there if I had to be on the court with Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole at the same time trying to get my shots up. So I don't know, man. I was just really surprised. Like I don't mind doing redrafts. I know ESPN did one recently where a lot of Pistons fans crashed out over it as well. But I feel like redrafts always piss a certain part of the fan base off.
Oh yeah, it's always going to leave somebody feeling like somebody feeling vindicated and somebody feeling pissed off. And I believe that this sets up for Ron Holland to be able to, change the trajectory of this. That's why I said I think this, at least from my perspective, I would assume that they would have just potentially dropped him off the list because he wasn't one of those heralded rookies. But for him to still be here at number 7, are there players I would move him ahead of? Yes. But understanding how national media kind of looks at and views this landscape and the Pistons, who they probably don't really pay a whole lot of attention to, that's why I say, you know what? Okay, I'll take you, but I'll raise you this, that he's going to be a guy that's going to force you to put him in the top 5 for years to come from this draft class. I 100% believe so. I don't believe that there's just one clear-cut star, superstar, stud, like this is just the guy and everybody else is underneath. Are there really, really good players? There are. I really like what Stephon Castle brought to the table. I really did. I like what Zachary Richardson could be, but I also know that Zachary Richardson was playing in a situation that had some pretty good vets, and some pretty good players around him. You know, I liked what Jared McCain was showing. He's the one that I'm just kind of like, yo, I just want to see. I want to see it for another year, see him healthy and whatnot. Reed Shepard, Donovan Clingan, Modest Buzelis, like all of those players, but are those players that are better than Ron Holland? Who, and I said this on the draft profile for him, man. I was one of those guys who wanted Dalton Connect. But when we got into talking about who Ron Holland was, it was like, all right, look, he was number 9 on my draft big board, and these are the reasons why. He has everything else that you want in an NBA player's game except for the outside shooting. He's got everything inside the arc. He was a really good player. Over 50% at the rim, I believe 50% or like 46 to 50% inside the arc on high volume, like 14 shots inside the arc at the G League level. So he's already within NBA terminology. He was already playing against, within NBA sets against NBA level talent, if not NBA talent. He was already doing this stuff with some of these guys that he was coming into the league with, like a Modest Buzelis, who played with him at the G League night. And so I looked at everything about his game and I realized this guy, everything that we saw when he came here and he finished in the paint well, could take the ball coast to coast, was going to come here and play defense and be gritty. All that translated. It really translated for him in year one. And that to me is where I believe he's just kind of scratching the surface. And so when I say this is kind of surprising or more promising to me, I look at this more as someone pulling a rubber band back. So he's not going to be back for long. I do believe Ron Holland is somebody who, if you do the same thing next year, you're going to be moving them ahead of some of these players that they have currently.
Yeah, my only thing with redrafts is like give it a few years. I think doing a redraft in 24 when a lot of these guys haven't even scratched the surface. Some of these guys are on playoff teams, so they don't actually get to play a whole lot of minutes. Like you could argue out of the top 5 picks, like Ron Holland and Reed Shepard were the 2 picks that Reed Shepard, I shouldn't even say, because Reed Shepard barely got playing time. He was tearing it up in the G League. But Ron Holland immediately, wasn't in the starting lineup. He never was in the starting lineup unless it was like garbage time. He has I think, a really interesting, pathway to, future stardom if he can just kind of develop a jump shot, get better at slowing down. I just kind of look at this draft class, and there's some guys that wouldn't surprise me if you see a Matas Buzelis, a Ron Holland, or even a Jared McCain, for that matter, to be future all-stars. I really don't. Like I think this draft class, it's not like star-studded, but there will be some guys I honestly think that we could see in all-star games in the near future, in my personal opinion.
I agree with that, man. I do. I 100% agree with that. And it's going to be interesting with Ron Holland because he's a guy that's not focused or fixated on making those teams.
Yeah.
I got to talk to his pops, shout out to Papa Holland, man. And it was after the, all rookie teams were announced. I said, bro, man, I was really hoping that he was going to be a part of, the rising stars and all of that type of stuff. He said, man, we don't care about that. Man, all he cares about is what JB Bickerstaff is asking him to do and helping his team make the playoffs. That's it. So from a mentality standpoint, every time I've gotten to talk to Ron Holland myself, press conferences, we got to go out to the camp last year. You remember the Pistons did their camps. Ron Holland was out at one. I think Czar was out there as well. And we got to talk to him and ask him some questions and such. I was like, yo, I get it. Players are supposed to say certain things, but this guy is like, he sounded like a vet. Like, and you got the sense early on when you saw him play that this was more or less who he is and not just something that somebody told him, so, oh, you're in Detroit, so use these code words. I was like, no, instantly you realize this dude was scrap with you, bro. Like, he's tough. He's physical. He's scrappy. He has game. He's not just like a hustle player. And I think sometimes that might be where he gets a little underrated or not looked at the right ways, because I think people want to pigeonhole him into that kind of bench hustle, super hustle player. It's like, nah, this guy has some talent to be something a little bit more than that. He can score in volumes, and a large part of it has to do with the unorthodox aspect of his game. Like, what is his actual go-to?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He
yeah.
can kind of just, if it's transition, not that he's going out there and saying you can't guard me, but you'll see him at the top of the key, pivot to the left, like jab to the left, and then just whoops right around to the right, and I'm in the lane. And it's, I don't even know if they're calling the plays for him. He's just kind of just playing off of his own natural instinct, utilizing the handles, utilizing the speed, utilizing the athleticism. And I do believe as he continues to mature and get, learns to slow down just a little bit, I believe we're going to see a full-on maturation of borderline all-star Ron Holland to what you're calling all-star, what he could potentially make one day.